Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a Patreon request. The topic was requested by Mark from Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News. So if you've not checked out Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News, click the link in the pinned comments on this video and it will take you to his channel. Highly recommended, very good content, so check out the link in the pinned comments. But the video topic was 5 prospects, amateur or pro, that I believe will go on to be world champions, obviously in the professional game. And I thought this was an interesting topic, so let's get into it. The first prospect that I have in mind to become a world champion in the future is a prospect in the super welterweight division, and this man hails from Uzbekistan, 25 years old, Israil Madrimov. Currently, Israil Madrimov has a record of 6-0 in the professional ranks, 5 of those 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Israil Madrimov was a very good amateur, had some success in the Asian Games, and the Asian Games these days is arguably as strong as the European scene in the amateur ranks. But Israil Madrimov, very good amateur, and as a pro so far, he's looked pretty good in his early fights. Israil Madrimov is a power puncher in the super welterweight division. He's extremely athletically gifted, quick twitch muscle reflexes, quick feet, and his offense is certainly creative. He throws a lot of power shots from weird angles, leads with hooks, leads with uppercuts. He's very unorthodox in the way he fights. He does take a lot of risks, but he's certainly an entertaining fighter. And the way I look at Israil Madrimov, I don't really anticipate him fighting for a title in the next 6 to 12 months. I think it might take a bit longer than that, to be honest. But by the time Israil Madrimov does fight for a title, I think he's got a very good chance of picking up a belt at super welterweight. I think by the time Madrimov steps up to world title level, the likes of Jamel Charlo might be out of the division. They may have moved up. So that would leave space for someone like Madrimov to pick up a title. There are certain guys in the division right now which I believe Madrimov could beat. For example, the WBO champion, Patrick Teixeira. I think Madrimov against him would have a great chance. And all in all, there's a lot of talent there with Israil Madrimov. He certainly needs to make improvements. He does use a lot of unnecessary movement in his style. He does need to tone down on that a little bit, become a little bit more compact, pay a little more attention to defense. But there's a lot of raw ability with Israil Madrimov. He's athletically gifted, he carries power, he carries speed, and that alone's going to take him a long way. He just needs to tidy up a little bit, but providing he does that, I fully expect Israil Madrimov to pick up a world title at some point in his career. All in all, I highly recommend checking out Israil Madrimov, one of the most exciting prospects in the sport of boxing in 2020, and one of the more entertaining fighters, full stop, to be honest. Really interesting fighter. If you've not checked out Israil Madrimov, I highly suggest that you do so. The number 2 prospect on this list, and by the way, this list isn't in order, so bear that in mind, but the number 2 prospect on this list is the American welterweight, Jiron Ellis. Now, Jiron Ellis has an impressive record of 26-0, 24 of those 26 wins coming by way of knockout. He is still very young, only 23 years old, and Jiron Ellis had a pretty respectable amateur background. He never really did anything on the international circuit, but he won several Golden Gloves in America, and he's certainly well schooled. He's a very big welterweight at 5'10", and he's blessed with pretty good hand speed with solid punching power. He puts his combinations together extremely well. He's got a lovely jab, and what I like about Jiron Ellis, despite having a lot of physical advantages over a lot of his opponents, he's not scared to get up close, fight on the inside. In fact, this guy's actually quite aggressive. He actually likes a bit of a tear-up, which I enjoy about him. He's certainly got that mean streak about him, which is important at the top level. And all in all, offensively, Jiron Ellis is an exceptional talent and one of the best prospects in the welterweight division, period. Even defensively, yeah, he gets touched a bit, but his defense isn't terrible. And when Jiron Ellis just solely boxes behind the jab, he's actually pretty hard to nail clean. And yeah, ultimately with Jiron Ellis, I see a fighter there which has he's like multi-dimensional. He doesn't fight in one way. He can mix it up. He can trade. he can brawl, he can box, he can counter, he can punch, works the body. He just looks like a really versatile fighter from my eye. And at 23 years old, some of the things that he's showing me already, I've got a lot of excitement for this guy going forwards. I think it is now time for Jiron Ellis to start stepping up. I've heard rumours about maybe him fighting Chris Van Heerden in his next fight. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Van Heerden is a very tough guy, good chin, experienced. These are the sort of fights that Ellis should be having right now to really kind of prepare himself for that next step up. But Jiron Ellis, in my opinion, an excellent prospect, and in the top 3 prospects, certainly in the USA. If you've not checked out Jiron Ellis, I highly recommend you do so. Really fun fighter to watch. Got a bit of everything in there. If you like technical boxing, you'll enjoy Jiron Ellis, and if you like a bit of trading and fighting, you're also going to like Ellis. So he provides a bit for everyone, in my opinion. The second choice on this list is Jiron Ellis. Now, the third fighter on this list is somebody that I don't really hear being spoken about all that much. And in my opinion, this guy just may be the most exciting fighter and most promising fighter on this whole list. If I were to bet anybody becoming like a pound-for-pound star or a great in the sport, if I were to bet anybody on this list who would do that, it's going to be this guy. And that is the man from Uzbekistan, Hasanboy Dusmatov. Now, Hasanboy Dusmatov, obviously, as you would expect, was an elite-level amateur. He won the Olympic gold medal at Rio 2016 in the light flyweight division. He was a silver medalist in the World Amateur Championships in 2017. The guy was an outstanding amateur. He really did it all in the amateur ranks. And he's recently turned pro. He's only 1-0 with 1 knockout in the light flyweight division. And I expect this guy to go all of the way. I would be shocked if this guy doesn't win a world title. His style is a joy to behold. It really is a beautiful style to watch. He's got exceptionally quick hands, exceptionally quick feet. He seems to carry some sort of power. He's very comfortable trading with fighters because of his hand speed, because of his timing, because of his accuracy. He's got wonderful footwork. Similar to how Lomachenko will punch on the fly, where he's stepping around you. He'll step around you, keep punching at angles that you don't expect, and you're not in a position to punch, whereas he is. In the exchanges, he kind of reminds me of Juan Manuel Marquez. Not in regards to the styles are different, but just how calm this guy is in the exchanges. He always seems in control and like he's fighting his own fight, not that his opponent is drawing him into that sort of fight. Just an exceptionally talented fighter. He can box, he can brawl, he can counter, he can punch, he can work the body, fast feet, quick hands, an exceptional talent, athletically gifted, amateur background to back it up. This guy, man, is going to be something special. I truly believe that. Like I said, I would be shocked if this guy doesn't win a world title. In fact, his people are very confident as well. They're talking about this guy fighting for a title in his next couple of fights. He's only had 1 fight in the pro ranks. He's an exceptionally talented fighter, and I expect this guy to go all of the way. If you've not checked this guy out, watch some of his amateur fights on YouTube, some of his highlights. Just a real fun fighter. He's got a beautiful style to watch, and he does a bit of everything from what I can see. I highly recommend checking this guy out. Arguably a top 3 prospect in the sport of boxing right now. I've not actually spoken about this guy at all on my channel from what I can remember, so I'm pleased to do it now. Excellent prospect, Hasanboy Dusmatov. Now, number 4 on this prospect list is a name that I'm sure you've heard of, and that is Virgil Ortiz Jr. Virgil Ortiz Jr., a 22-year-old prospect from the United States. He's Mexican-American in the welterweight division, has a perfect record of 16-0 with 16 knockouts. Virgil Ortiz, to me, has a very appealing style. He's a boxer-puncher, he can be aggressive, power in both hands, he's got excellent finishing instincts, and for a 22-year-old, he's got an old head on young shoulders. He's a really well-spoken individual, and he's one of those people, one of those fighters who's just got it. He knows where he wants to go, and he knows what he needs to do to get there. He's an exceptionally talented fighter, in my opinion. I mean, he's had 16 fights, 22 years old, and right now he's already beaten sort of trial horses like Samuel Vargas, Brad Solomon. He knocked out Antonio Orozco. He destroyed Mauricio Herrera. Every test that this guy's had so far, he's passed with flying colours. And, you know, he's only going to get better. Now, in my opinion, if you throw this guy in there with the top welterweights in the world, he'll give these guys problems right now at 22 years old. I'm not saying he would beat everybody, I'm not saying that at all, but he would give everybody in the division problems. And this guy's not even close to his prime yet. You know, he sacrificed sort of an extensive amateur background as a senior to turn pro early. I believe he turned pro at like 18 years old. But, you know, this guy is made for the professional ranks. He's not got an amateur style. Like I said, power in both hands, relatively aggressive, boxer puncher, shows great poise in the ring. He doesn't smother his work, excellent finisher, and just a really good technical boxer in general. Lovely jab, works the body. Offensively, Virgil Ortiz Jr. is a very fun fighter, and in my opinion, a very good fighter. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this guy's moved in 2021. I think this guy already is nearly ready to fight for a world title. Maybe 2 or 3 fights, something like that. I mean, if I was managing Virgil Ortiz Jr., I'd throw him in there with somebody like Josecito Lopez, for example. And after that, I'd be looking at the likes of Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia. And after that, then fight for a world title. But yeah, Virgil Ortiz Jr. is a very exciting fighter. He can box, he can punch, he's aggressive, he's fun to watch. And yeah, if you're a boxing fan and you don't like Virgil Ortiz Jr., I don't know what to say. To me, the guy is extremely exciting, a fun fighter, and I believe he's got a hell of a lot of potential. And I'd be shocked if this guy doesn't win a world title at some point in his career. I'm certain Virgil Ortiz wins a world title. Certain. Very good fighter in my opinion. Now, the 5th guy on this list, I was actually debating whether to put this guy in the list because he's the 3rd guy from Uzbekistan on the list. So I was debating actually removing this guy, but I've just got to be honest and say who I believe is going to be a world champion. And the 5th guy on the list is Bektemir Melikuziev. Now, Bektemir Melikuziev is a super middleweight. His record right now is 6-0 with 5 knockouts. And he himself, of course, had a pretty good amateur background, as you would expect from Uzbekistan. He fought in the major tournaments, he fought in the Olympics, he's extremely well schooled. He actually also fought in the World Series of Boxing, which is great experience going into the pros. Essentially, the World Series of Boxing is professional boxing, but against the highest level amateurs in the world. And yeah, Bektemir Melikuziev, again, I fully expect this guy to win a title at 168. For a super middleweight, he's got quick hands, exceptional body puncher, seems to carry real punching power. Now, he's not the biggest 168 pounder you're ever going to see. He's only about 5'9.5", but the guy's great on the inside. He's great at mid-range. Like I said, quick hand speed, good power, very good body puncher. He's got lovely footwork, great positioning in the pocket to where he's in a position to throw his punches, but he's not in a position for you to necessarily easily tag him. You know, he attacks at angles. He's extremely creative with his offense. And yeah, right now, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. If you told me Billy Joe Saunders and Bektemir Melikuziev are going to fight tomorrow, I would say Bektemir Melikuziev has a great chance at beating Billy Joe Saunders. I think he's got a great chance at beating Caleb Plant. I think the guy's nearly ready right now for a world title shot, and the guy's only had 6 fights. You know, so far in the pros, he's not put a foot wrong. He's beat everybody he's fought convincingly. And yeah, I think this guy's going to be ready in a couple of fights. There's no need to be slow with this guy. I believe you can fast track him, get him a couple of fringe contenders in his next couple of fights, and after that, I fully expect this guy to be ready for the big time. You know, I think this guy is an exceptional prospect. Once again, another real fan-friendly fighter. And yeah, I think in the next couple of years, a lot of guys are going to get on the bandwagon of Bektemir Melikuziev. Really, really fun fighter. Like I said, a creative fighter, Bektemir Melikuziev. I highly recommend you check this guy out. If you've not seen any of his fights, go on YouTube, type his name in, and see what you think. I don't think you'll be disappointed to check him out. And in case I didn't mention, he is a southpaw, and he's still only 24 years old, so he's still quite young. And yeah, if I was managing Bektemir Melikuziev in his next couple of fights, I'd have him fight the likes of Rocky Fielding, Lionel Thompson, Anthony Durrell, and a couple of those sort of fights after. I'd then let loose basically and actually have this guy fight for a world title. I think he's nearly ready right now, to the point where even now he'll compete. But in 2-3 fights time, this guy's going to be a handful, and I fully expect this guy to win a world title. I really do. But yeah, my fifth choice on the list is Bektemir Melikuziev. I know this list is very heavy on Uzbekistani prospects, from Central Asia, but it is what it is. The topic of the video was 5 prospects that I think are going to be world champions, and 3 of those happen to be from Uzbekistan. It is what it is. I could do a list of 10 fighters that I expect to be world champions. Whether they will or not, who knows? But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this topic. So once again, shout out to Mark from Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News. Check his channel out. Again, there's going to be a pinned comment on this video with his channel in the comment. So check his channel out. Really good stuff. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.